Welcome back to Library YouTube channel. In today's class, we are going to learn how to make this beautiful pieces blouse with godi. Okay, it's in pieces as you can see, and it has godi inserted to form the fleece that we have at the hem area. It's a very simple tutorial. I'm going to take you through how to cut and sew this. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so for this, I'm going to be working with an armhole princess that plus 2. So you can see I have already marked my important points. This is my armhole line, this is the bust point, the under bust, the waist, and this is the full length of the blouse. Okay, I've also created my shoulder, the shoulder slope, and my armhole. So the next thing to do now is to just start taking the dart. So for this, my bust span is 8 inches divided by 2 is 4. So on my bust points, I'm going to mark the 4 inches. So whatever you mark on this bust point, when you get to the under bust, you're going to deduct half an inch from it. So I marked 4 inches. If I deduct half an inch, that will leave me with 3.5 inches, and that's what I'm marking here. So the same 3.5 inches, I'm going to mark it all through, and then I'm going to connect them together. Okay, so this is a straight line, and I'm going to connect all of this to the bust point, just like that. So the next thing, I remember we said it's an armhole princess that I'm going to link it to the armhole. So here I'm marking where I want it to be. So that's 5 inches for me. So I'll mark that here, and then I'm going to take my curved ruler and then connect from my bust points. You can see that I'm not connecting exactly on the bust points. I went down by half an inch or 0.75 to have a smooth transition, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect just like that. You will see that everything is smooth. You don't want any part to be sharp. So after that, we're going to take the actual dart. I'm taking a dart of 2 inches. So from this bust span line, I'm going to mark 2 inches on the under bust, on the waistline, as well as the full length, and then I'll make that into a straight line as well. So after that, I'm going to take my curved ruler again, and then from the under bust, I'm going to create a curve. That's our curve to the bust point, just like this. Make sure it is smooth as well. Okay, so after that, I'm going to take a dart on the armhole area. So for me, I'm taking a dart of half an inch on both sides. You can do more, you can do 0.75 if you want, and then with the slightly curved side of my ruler, I'm going to link that to my bust points. So here, and then for the other side, I'll just simply follow what I have coming from my bust curve, like that. So for this one, I'm going to extend it because of the dart that I'm taking. I'm taking a dart of 1 inch, so I'll extend this by 1 inch so that I don't have a shortage, and then I'm going to redraw my armhole curve, just like that. I hope you understand that. So these are the darts we are taking. The next thing now is to mark out the circumference. I've already marked my bust measurement, so I'm just going to replace the dart that I took, which is here, and then I'll add my seam allowance to that. So on my waistline, I'm going to mark my waist measurements as well, and then on the full length, I'm going to work with my hip measurements. Okay, so the next thing is to go ahead and connect all of this together. Carry my ruler is a bit curved. So this, we have a better curved ruler, you can use it. This is bending, and then you make sure that everything just blends well. So this is what I need to do for the front. For your neckline, you can choose any neckline of your choice. So for me, I think I'm just going to increase the width a bit, and then for the depth, I'm just going to work with a depth of maybe 5.5 inches, and then I'll connect it. But you can use any neckline design that you want. Okay, so that's my neckline there. So for the back, I've also drafted the back. You can see this is my zipper allowance. So for the back, you can, the fact that you use princess that, hammer princess that for the front does not mean you have to use it for the back as well. So for the back, you can use whatever that you wish to use. So again, I'm going to mark out my bust span measurement for the back as well, and then I'll connect it. So before that, you know, I'm using the ample princess that for the back as well. So I need to know where to stop that before curving it. So I'm going to use my bust span measurement as a reference point, which is 9.5. So I'm going to mark that point, and then I'll connect like this, the bust span up to that mark. I hope you can see that. So from there, on my armhole area, I'm going to come down by around 4 inches, and then with my curved ruler, I'm going to connect to my armhole like that as well. You can see that I came down a little bit for that as well, and then I'm going to connect. So because I will sew them together, by the time I sew, I may have a shortage, so that's why I'm extending it by 1 inch as well. And then you can see for the back, it's quite simple. Just connect, and then you draw your armhole first. So that's all you need to do for the back. I have already created a small neckline. The only difference is that I did not use 3 inches for the front. I used 3.5. So here I need to increase this by 3.5 as well, because I'm going to sew it together. They have to be equal, and then I'm going to reconnect this. So what you need to do now is to mark your circumference as well. This is my waistline. I'm going to add my seam allowance. This is my hip line, and then I'll add my seam allowance as well. And then we're going to connect everything together. So we'll move straight to the godet. I have several tutorials on princess that posted already on the channel. So if you feel this is fast, you can check any of them out. So now I'm going to cut this, and then we're going to cut. Remember, this is a 6 pieces blouse with godet. Okay, the pieces are not together. We are going to be inserting godet in it. So before I cut this out, you need to note the number of that lines that you are going to have. That's because you need to know the number of godets basically that you want to insert into this. Okay, remember this is a pieces blouse. So for me, you can just have your godet inserted at the center line, which is at the dart line, which is this, and then maybe your side seam, but I want it on the side as well. So for that, I'm just going to create like a dart line illusion on this part. Okay, so like I was saying, I want to create another dart line on the side to insert my godet. Okay, so checking my measurements again, I forgot to add the dart that I have taken out from this. My actual waistline measurement is 30 inches. divided by 4 should be 7.5. So you can see I have 3.5 inches here, so I'm going to shift it, and then you can see that I have exactly 7.5 inches. So I forgot to add my seam allowance to the waistline, the seam allowance that I added to the other part. So here I'm adding the seam allowance, so I'll need to redraw my side seam measurement. So you have to be mindful of that. Always remember to add your seam allowance, especially if you have added to the other part. If you are not adding it on the pattern, then it means you are not adding to any other part. But I've already added on my waistline, on my bust line, as you can see. I also added on the hip line, so I have to add it. So this line is wrong. Okay, this is the actual line that we are working with. So to create this dart, so from the dart leg, the last dart leg, that's the side part of the dart that we took. You can mark 2 inches or 2.5 inches, or you can just divide what you have. Remember, this is the seam allowance, so I'm not going to enter into the seam allowance. But with the actual measurement that you have there, you can divide what you have into 2. I'm just going to mark 2.5 inches there. I'll mark that on my full length as well, and then I'll just mark that upwards to connect with my armhole line. So this is going to be the last dart that I'm going to work on. Let me shade out the dart so that we're not going to get confused. This dart is actually the busty dart that we took. So this is going to go off. We are going to cut it out. So this is like my center front. This now is like the middle front, and this is like the side front. I hope you understand that now. Okay, so for the back, if you want to add extra godets to that as well, we're just going to divide it and mark. But this is a tutorial, so I'm not going to add to the back. I'll just put the godet at the center back, and then at the that line that I have at the back and the side. Okay, but we want to add excess to that the same way we did for the front. That's what you are going to repeat for the back as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out these patterns. Then you're going to cut the godet, but before you cut it out or half side, you can do this before half side. The godet will be inserted from your waistline, which is here, so you can just measure what you have from your waistline downwards. For me, this is 7.75, 7.75. Okay, so you just keep that somewhere. That is going to be the length of your godet. So you can measure that now or after you have cut out your pattern. So this is my center front that I'm cutting out. I'm going to cut my neckline as well, and then the shoulder. So I don't want this to be too long, so I'm going to cut out the rest off camera. So now, but I just want to show us how I'm cutting off the dart. So this is the dart, and this is going to be taken out. So you have to be careful when you are cutting out your postage. You don't want it sharp at any point. So you can see now that I have taken out this dart. So this is the middle front. Now we are cutting out the middle front, and we are going to be inserting a godet at that side as well. So when I'm cutting this on my fabric, I'm going to add allowance for sewing to that part so that I won't have so much shortage. So this is your middle front, and this is the side front. Okay, so that is all you need to cut. I'll go ahead and cut out the back as well now. So I've cut it out now. You can see this is the center front, the middle front, and this is the side front, and those are the 2 back panels. So I'm going to set them aside and then cut out the godet. Now for that, you need your length. That's where you are placing it, the length from your waistline to the hem of the blouse. So I'm going to be cutting it like I'm folding a triangle, almost like the buyer's form. I'm using this leftover paper, but it will be easier for you if you have a paper that is straight. Okay. So let me see if I can just make this a little straight. I'll cut off the part that is not straight, and I will see if it's going to be enough for what I'm going to do. So basically what we are doing is just folding this like this, like you are folding a triangle. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. So after folding it, this is what I have. So we have measured this and we have 7.75. So from this upper part you can add a little allowance to it, so that by the time you cut, it's not going to have any form of shorting. So you can cut out 8 inches or 8.25. So that's me adding half an inch. So from that upper part you can see I'm just measuring that all around. And once you measure, make sure that the measurements are close together, so that it will be easy for you to connect them together. So after measuring them like this, I'm going to go ahead and connect, and then I'll take your scissors and cut this out. So this is what you're going to have, and we're going to be inserting this in between. So sometimes you may not want it to be as wide as this. Okay, this will be too wide for you. You can actually divide it into two and work with just this, or if you want it to be, if this is too small as well, when you are folding the paper, you may not fold it totally. Remember, I folded mine like this. Let me cut out this. Remember, I folded mine totally like this. Okay, and that gives me what I have here. So if you don't want it to be as wide as this and you don't want to divide, maybe if you divide it, it will be too small. So when you are folding, you're not going to fold to the head. You fold to wherever it is that you want it to stop. You can see. Okay, maybe you want it something like this. Okay, so you can see this is not going to be as wide as what we have here. So maybe you want it to be something like this. So what you just need to do is to make sure that this upper part is sharp, and then you press it down. So after pressing it down, the same way we have marked, I'm going to mark out the 8.25 all around here, and then I'll connect. So now when you are cutting this out, I'm not going to cut from this. So you are cutting off all of this, so that it's not going to be as wide. So you are cutting from here like this, and then you cut this. So you can see what we have here is not as wide as what we have here. So you can see all of this is no longer part of it. So it's totally up to you. And we're going to be inserting this in between all of this to give you that volume that a 6 pieces blouse is going to have. So it's going to be inserted in between them like this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them on the fabric. I'll bring it back to show us. So I'm going to have to cut it on my fabric, and then I added interfacing to it to give it a structured effect. It's just a gum stick. This is a tutorial. So these are the panels. Remember, this is like an 8 pieces blouse because we further cut it out by the side. Okay, so you can see. So these are my godet. You're going to need, for this particular tutorial, I need 8 godet because I have 1, 2, and 3, 4 for front, and then for the back, remember I did not slash the back, so I have 2 for the dark lines at the back, and then 2 for the side. So that's why I cut out 4. So I'm going to be inserting them in between the dot lines, the slash lines, basically any lines that you see that is open and you are joining together. That's where we're going to be inserting them. So now I'll take it to the sewing machine now, and then I'm going to start to sew it. and then I'll bring it back to show us. Okay, so I've started sewing it, and you can see that the godet is inserted in between the dark line. So I just figured out that some people may want to know how to insert this easily. So a tip that I can give you is to sew like this. So I'm going to sew the godet. You know it's supposed to be like this, right? So on one side I'm going to sew this to one side first before I join this. Okay, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm going to go ahead and sew the godet to one side first, and then I'm going to sew, after sewing to the first side, I'm going to start sewing the second from the godet area, and then I'm just going to link it to the side so that you can have it easy. You can insert easily, as easy as this. So I'll go ahead and sew this, and then probably take it to the sewing machine so that you can see what I am doing. Okay, so like I was explaining, you can see I've gone ahead to join this godet to one side. So now to join the other side, I'll just simply take it to the sewing machine, and then I'm going to start sewing from the godet area like this. So I'll just link it upwards just like that. So I'm just going to simply place it like this, and then I'm going to start sewing. So you open the stitch up. So from there, I'm going to just continue sewing like that. So it is not difficult. That's a very easy way of inserting your godet, and you continue sewing your first here. So remember, this is a cuff, so you have to sew it as slowly as possible. You don't need to rush. So this same method is what I'm going to employ when I want to insert the other ones. I'll simply sew the godet on one side first, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew on the other one. So now I'm going to open it out, and when I open it out, you can see this place close. You can see how sharp it is. You can see how neat and sharp it is. Look at the second one as well. You can see that it's giving you that V effect and nothing is packing. So that is how you can easily sew your setting godet easily without having any issues. So I'll continue sewing the rest now, and I'll iron them open up, and when I'm done, I'm going to bring it back to us to see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like by the time I'm done sewing in all the godet. You just sew your shoulder, then you cut your lining the same way this way to be an actual twist, and then you use it to turn it. You can see the effect that this is giving us. You can see how beautiful it is. I hope you enjoyed making this tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.